Yep, we're here for Mort, Warpugs. We're here for more Mort. That's what we're here for. We are here to learn more about Mort. Warpugs, how are we doing? Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready? I am prepared. I am very well prepared. I'm ready. I got my tinfoil hat on. I am so ready to go. Yeah, did I see you summons the ritual work? Yes, I did. I saw that earlier. The Theorizer popped in just to let us know. The Theorizer popped in earlier, guys, to let us know that this video is mostly older theories of his on Shrek, Megamind, and other Dreamworks films, which he all brings together in the last 20 minutes, where he proves that Mort is in all the films. This sets the stage for the actual good stuff in number 3. It's a beautiful cascade of plot twists and psychotic revelations that will make me cry. I'm ready for the drama. I'm ready for the pain! Before then, though, real quick, I have been wondering how I should address this. There's something that happened in my personal life that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And I was a little bit hesitant of how to bring this up. I don't think I'm going to bring this up here, just because of the general mood, but I'm going to let you guys know about it soon. Yeah, I don't know why I brought it up here. It just, I've needed to talk to you guys about something that happened, but well, it happened on Sunday, and it basically is something that has affected me in more ways than one. And I will talk about it at some point. I'm doing the horse cosplay now, Rain. I'm doing the horse cosplay now. But, yeah, there was a reason why I really didn't say anything yesterday. I really didn't do anything yesterday. I wasn't in anywhere. Something happened on Sunday that, yeah, I'm probably going to need to talk to somebody about. Bad. Something bad happened. But let's get into this. Yes, I know I'm bald. Let's be quite honest with you guys. No, I'm not alright. I am not alright. But I am here for this. I have come prepared. Oh, God. With my 20 head. Male pattern baldness. This is exceeding the... If this is male pattern baldness, it exceeded the mandate, guys. Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. Are we ready for Mort? Are we ready? Let me get my signal up. There we go. Let's do it kind of like this right here. There we go. A little bit twist on the side. There. Now we have it. Now we have it centered. Now we have it centered. Let's go. X in chat if you're ready for more Mort. We are here for Mort Theory, the many mysteries of Dreamworks. It is the second part of the continuation. It is the second part. I'm here. I have the leg. I'm ready to proceed. X in chat if you're ready to go, guys. Nuke Riley now. Let's go. Here we go. Ah, here we go. Oh my God, I clicked the wrong thing. Boomer, of course. Boomer. Oh, come on. Click that off. There we go. Yeah.
The Theorizer. This video is a compilation video. Hello, I'm the Theorizer. This video is a compilation video of basically parts 7 to like 20 of my giant theory on Mort. Yes, Mort from Madagascar, the lemur. You may have recently seen the previous compilation, which is just parts 1 to 6. It was that 2-hour-long video that went around a while ago. And this video is a whole series of different Dreamworks theories on different Dreamworks movies that I've made from across the years of my channel that ultimately, at the very end of this video, all connect together in with the Mort theory. You can skip around this video if you so desire.
No.
But this is all of the parts kind of spliced and compiled and rearranged a bit together, so keep that in mind. I do have timestamps, of course, and everything comes together at the end. But if you really want to see where it comes together, that of course is in the next compilation, which I am releasing shortly after this one. And that is where it gets truly, truly good and really focuses more on Mort again. In the meantime, enjoy.
Let's go! The Shrek timeline!
The Shrek series is my favorite Dreamworks franchise, and if you've seen some of my best and most plausible theories, you'll be eager to see this. I have a small little Shrek theory I made months ago, which stated that the fairy godmother is behind more than we're led to believe in the film.
Okay.
So I've constructed a timeline of events to contain a massive conspiracy that predates Shrek 1 and extends past the final film, Shrek 4.
Okay.
First, I'll need to dig out some of the buried evidence and construct evidence with evidence
Okay.
to use as evidence in my timeline.
Let's go.
Evidenceception. There will be spoilers through Shreks 1 through 4, so hopefully you've seen them all. If not, watching only the first 2 films will allow you to understand this as well. As you may remember, the secret plot of Shrek 2 is basically a conspiracy all in itself. It's obvious in Shrek 2 that the fairy godmother is all about her son marrying Fiona. It's also obvious that there's a master plan going on. So, I've sifted through the evidence to put this master plan into a timeline.
Okay.
If you're perceptive or even just attentive, you'll easily realize what part of the plan is. At the end of the film, King Harold is hit with magic and turns into a frog.
Right.
At first, you're confused at what this means, but then you realize that it's his true form, and that part of the master plan was that the fairy godmother had years ago turned Harold from a frog into a human.
Oh.
And when you realize this, it blows your mind. He wanted to become a human so that he could marry a princess. Sound familiar?
Yes.
Although, as the movie establishes, the godmother took this opportunity to strike up a deal. As the movie hints towards, if she turned him into a human, her son would marry his future daughter. And that's why Charming is so obsessed with Fiona. But when you think about it, she only wanted her son to marry into royalty so she could become all-powerful over far, far away.
What?
Okay, so that's been established.
Okay.
Although there is more evidence that is very secret and hidden that I have found that states there was more to the plan. Do you remember what Fiona's curse was? She says when she was a little girl, a witch cast a spell on her. This spell transformed her into an ogre every night until she kissed her true love, at which point she would take true love's form.
Okay.
But what always got to me was why this witch cast a spell on Fiona. What exactly did Fiona do to deserve this? And finally, something clicked.
Right.
If the fairy godmother wanted her son to marry Fiona, it would appear as forcing and rushed. So, to avoid suspicion from the public and the queen, she created the elaborate plan of locking Fiona away in a tower and, yes, casting this spell on Fiona. She was the witch. As I just said, this elaborate plan is done to avoid public suspicion and the suspicion from the queen, who has no idea of the true plans. So if it's true that the fairy godmother cast a spell on Harold's firstborn and locked her away in a tower, then it fits perfectly into place.
Yes.
It was her son who was expected to save Fiona. Why is this curse locked with true love's kiss? Charming is supposed to kiss her. And he was also expected to slip easily into the dragon's keep, unlike all the other knights who died trying.
Right.
Honestly, what makes him so different from them? Well, he's the son of the puppet master.
Right.
Okay, we've discovered what the fairy godmother does in this movie.
Okay.
Although, when investigating this crazy plan, I discovered more. more than ever.
Okay.
You might not believe this, but Queen Lillian was the one who introduced Shrek to Fiona. It's crazy, but... plausible. Let me explain.
Wait.
Queen Lillian did not know the master plan, correct?
Right.
Good. Now, do you remember in Shrek 1, the magic mirror?
Yes.
Yes, well, he was the one who introduced Fiona to Lord Farquaad.
True.
He had the dating game he played with Lord Farquaad, and the candidates for Lord Farquaad to date were Snow White, Cinderella, and Fiona.
Right.
Surprise, surprise, Farquaad chooses Fiona.
Right.
We don't know where this mirror came from. Farquaad's knights just say that they found it. But if you remember the classic tale of Snow White, then you'll remember that the magic mirror came from the evil queen. And guess what? We see that the evil queen and Snow White both live in the kingdom of Far, Far Away. You may be asking, what am I going to do with this evidence? Why, I'm going to construct a second conspiracy. Fiona was a private princess only for charming. So why is this mirror allowed to advertise her? If this mirror came from Far, Far Away, then get this.
Okay.
Queen Lillian stuck her daughter's advertisement in the mirror and sent it to Doodalok, a kingdom full of knights who could save her daughter. After all, she had no idea of the true master plan and just wanted her daughter to be saved. It's an interesting thought, but let's see how the timeline supports it.
Okay.
So that's all the evidence for a timeline. Now here it is visualized. A frog asked a fairy godmother if he could become a prince and marry the love of his life.
Right.
And in return, his firstborn child would be sent into a believable and elaborate plan to allow this godmother control of his future kingdom. The plan was set into action. The godmother cast a spell on his firstborn, making her an ogre every night. She also seemingly spawned a prince and called him son. Fiona finally is locked away in the tower to await the spawn of Mrs. Psycho. The Queen of Far, Far Hollywood is unbeknownst to the plan and desperate for her daughter gets involved in multiple mini-schemes, one of which involves putting her daughter's advertisement into a magical mirror and shipping it off to a kingdom full of knights to save her. This puts a massive kink in the heinous plan, and Shrek ends up being dragged in. He saves her, marries her, and when Charming arrives to save her, he has nothing to save but, and I quote, a gender-confused wolf. Devastated that the queen metaphorically and unwittingly put a compound fracture in his so-called mother's plan, he alters his plan, but the all-too-bubbly psychopath dies in a stupid fashion, leaving him alone to reveal his true plans and dominate the kingdom with full-on delusion inherited from you-know-who. He ends up dying. The end. And that seems to wrap up Dreamworks' biggest conspiracy. But seriously, pretty good conspiracy timeline. It basically explains the true rise and fall of the not-so-charmings.
Theories of the Godmother, 1 of 4. Let's go. Okay, so seriously, Mort is Malal, and I'll fight anybody that disagrees with me. Okay, Mort is Malal. There is no other way that this can be said to. So, now he started... So the last one... The first 2.5 hours of this were nothing more, nothing less than things that Mort himself has done, okay? This is stuff that he has done, all right? Oh, here we go.
Shrek. They are the best Dreamworks films in my opinion. They have it all. The animation, the epic story, the music, the characters, and they do have a few chunks of hidden secrets which I've made a few videos in the past digging apart. I'd recommend you watch my video on Fiona and Shrek and the Godmother before you watch this one, because a large chunk of evidence I'll be using in this video roots from that other one. So the Fairy Godmother, also known as Dama Fortuna, is a driven, intelligent, psychotic businesswoman and A-list celebrity who basically rules the social setting of Far, Far Away.
Okay.
Her past is shrouded in mystery, and sure as hell is not anything like the Cinderella Fairy Godmother's past, so who is she? What other plans has she enacted? How do they all tie together? I have the answers.
Let's go.
Hello, I'm I'm the Theorizer, and this is not just any ordinary fairy godmother. She's a scientist, a genius one, whose magic stems from her knowledge of chemistry and alchemy, as proven by her factory.
Okay.
I don't even really think she's a biological fairy, just someone who is self-mutated with chemicals. Her wand, of course, isn't the source of her magic. It's just simply a conduit of magic flow from inside of her, as we know because its lights go out when she dies. Anyways, she's first and foremost a businesswoman, but uses her celebrity status to give and get anything she wants to and from anyone she wants. And she doesn't care if the person she's helping is morally flawed. She'll do anything because she herself is morally flawed. As we can see on the walls in her factory, she has helped many people with their happy endings, including the Wicked Witch of the West, whom she made even more evil. Something is seriously wrong with her if she's going to weird lengths to help even the villains, but that's not all. Dreamworks tried to hide this one, but if you pause the frame right before Shrek walks into her office, you can see a before and after of Cinderella's stepsister. The fairy godmother turned the step-sibling from male to female, as we can see. However, we actually meet the step-sibling, and they seem to still be transgender. So did the fairy godmother use her magic in a way that could blackmail the step-sibling? I'm not too sure, but this frame is hidden in a fraction of a second, and Dreamworks has a love of hiding things like this in half frames.
We will soon learn the secrets of the world.
So, she's a blackmailing A-list businesswoman and professional megalomaniacal psychopath, but that...
Yeah, she's got those crazy eyes. She has those eyes that pretty much say, if you date me, I'm going to key your car and burn your clothes. 100%, okay?
It's just her personality, not her backstory or motives. If you ended up watching my other Shrek video on Fiona and the Godmother, then you know that I'm 95% certain, that the witch they talk about, who cursed Fiona to become an ogre at night, was in fact the fairy godmother herself, so that she could swoop in and save the day. I believe this heavily to be the case, and so do many others. And while this whole thing with Fiona may have been her biggest plan as it involved the future of her son, what may have been her other plans, and how do they tie into all of this? Many people in Far, Far Away seem to be generally miserable. More accurately, the villains. They all hang out in the Poison Apple Tavern, and so did Harold the Frog before he got his happy ending. And it's my great belief that the fairy godmother has done something utterly wicked.
How does this relate to Tangled, though, is what I want to know. I want to know how this relates to Tangled, okay? That's just me.
She has intentionally gone around and used her magic to interfere with the lives of several people so that she can swoop in and save their days. Not just Fiona. But the fact that she very likely did do this to Fiona leads me to believe that she's done this to everyone she's saved. It makes sense too. She's not using magic to fix them, she's just undoing the magic she already used to make them miserable. Her potions are intentionally appealing sounding, but some of them are downright evil, and are likely used for such. The other reason I believe she's making everyone miserable is because her slogan is happiness, just a teardrop away, and she has made herself summonable by someone crying.
Okay.
She induces this. She makes their lives suck. It's her thing, but her intelligence and strategic nature leads me to believe that she's not doing this for fame or some other petty goal. I believe fame is just a stepping stone to what she really wants.
Okay.
I don't know what that is yet. In Shrek 3, Prince Charming immediately went to the Poison Apple to recruit villains once he was out of options and his mother died. Everyone in there hated him at first for some reason, but then they all warmed up to him when he promised them their happy endings back. And they hopped all over it because their happiness has been stripped from them. Charming
Big Bane said that she might be Miss Big Pharma. I'm not sure about that, but I'm really not sure about that, but there is cause to be concerned, guys. There is cause to be concerned. Let's continue.
Charming knew the backup was to appeal to the people she ruined. Charming himself, I think, might even be a byproduct of Dama Fortuna's even greater plan, which involves herself and herself alone. Charming was a child she created, or perhaps birthed, simply to get herself on top of Far, Far Away. But she was already on top in regards to the social setting. Her plan with Charming involved getting on the top of its political and royal setting. Charming isn't real, he's a fake boy created by the Godmother. This is additionally seen in how he was utterly lost without her guidance, and reverted to the failsafe of undoing the misery and the villains she created. I think more specifically that these villains were created by the Godmother not only to give her something to fix, but to contrast Cinderella and the other princesses she fixed. If she creates villains, the happiness of the heroes is almost certainly assured. She did this to make the happiness of others more potent, as no hero can exist without a villain. But getting on top of the royal chain in Far
Look, you guys, look at that face. Look at that face. But how does this relate to Mort, my guy?
Far Away is what she wants, though I'm still trying to figure out why. She's power-starved, but I think she aims to do something with it all. Her plot started way back when she ruined the life of a small frog, making him yearn for the life of being a human.
Okay.
In doing so, she introduced him to Lillian, a woman whose life she most likely also ruined. As we know, Lillian's family used to be the royalty governing Far, Far Away, and this was the Godmother's first step into worming her way into the system. Once their marriage was assured, she poisoned the daughter of Harold and Lillian, making her an ogre by night. Godmother created a son who she named Charming, and she had Harold indoctrinate his daughter into being entranced by the concept of a charming prince who'd save her. Funny how she literally named him Charming. It's all a part of the scheme to mesmerize Fiona, which...
I'm beginning to see the plan. I'm beginning to see the plan. Morta's death is in Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots is in Shrek.
Worked, as we see, in her obsessive diary. But why wait so long to save Fiona? Why send Charming at a very specific time after Shrek just saved her? Kind of extremely coincidental, right? Why would Charming show up right after and not way before? It's statistically improbable for these events to happen so close together.
True.
So, then, there's only one logical answer to this, and it's the fact that the fairy godmother intentionally sent him right after Shrek saved Fiona, and they began their honeymoon. Clearly, Prince Charming was unaware of this plan the godmother had in mind, and she blatantly lied to him about it constantly. Even in the carriage, she kind of takes over and starts screaming the same thing he screamed. This is only further proof that her son is the means to an end. But why would she wait for Shrek to save Fiona? I think I know. She needed Shrek to be there so that she could save Fiona again, to fool Harold and Lillian. She needed to swoop in and break apart their love. Shrek, or really any other rescuer for that matter, needed to save Fiona. Ever notice how the Happily Ever After potion is the only potion that is intentionally labeled with an incredibly appealing title and sticker behind a very important looking glass display?
And it's glowing.
Notice how she smiles when the pigeon informs her that Shrek did indeed steal it? She acts like she was surprised at the theft when around Charming, but her smirk implies that she's pleased her plan is following through. So yes, I believe the fairy godmother sent Charming in right after Shrek began his honeymoon, simply to test Harold's allegiance to her and their plan. She needed to make...
But what does this have to do with Mort?
A big introduction to Fiona, and the only way to do that would be to break her and make her require further happiness, or in other words, allow an ogre into Fiona's life and shock Harold with it. Harold's spastic dinner fight with Shrek is all because, of course, he was furious that the godmother's plan didn't follow through. He was mad because he didn't want his own happy ending revoked by her. This was all the fairy godmother toying with him, like she does to everybody. She needed this dinner table argument to happen so that Fiona would feel torn and distraught, so that the entrance the godmother made could have as much potency as possible. She was just waiting for Fiona outside. This is proof of it. She only appears if you cry into one of her business cards, not if you cry into nothingness. This means that she'd have been monitoring, waiting, which, yes, by extension, means that she wanted Shrek to save Fiona first. What a psychotic thing she is. She staged the entire film's plot. She has wormed her way into royalty, and in her attempt to be good enough for Fiona, she has become a celebrity by manipulating several other princesses. This was all for Fiona because she needed Charming to become king, because she needed to become the ruler of Far, Far Away.
Okay.
But Why? Personally, I think she wants to...
I am somewhat keeping up with this right now. I am someone keeping up. Tristan, you say my eyes will be open to the holy light that is Mort. All right, let's go.
Lead all of the land with evil power. She wants everything. Citizens to bow before her. Similar to what Rumpelstiltskin wanted in Shrek 4.
I know,
but
Super Saiyan.
Why this? Well, most villains with determination as great as hers, with an endgame as arbitrary as this, had at one point felt inferior in their life.
Okay.
Whether they were bullied, tormented, whatever. So I feel that's what's happened to Dama Fortuna.
Like, I see what he's doing here. In the first part, he merely introduces the ingredients that is Mort. Now, he's beginning to paint a picture together. And to paint a picture, you have to go into detail on just about everything. So he's detailing this stuff out like a master sculptor. And eventually, these chips and these little flakes of gravel that are flying off right now are eventually going to form into the Arc de Triomphe that is going to turn my mind into Jell-O. Orange-flavored Jell-O. The worst kind of Jell-O.
Tuna. She made herself a fairy, gave herself magic, all to compensate for something that tormented her in her past. Quite honestly, I believe it was the previous royals, Lillian's family. I feel like something happened with them, because it seems to be the most sensible in this situation, with how she wants to dominate the kingdom that wronged her. This is besides the fact that Lillian blatantly tells Harold that she does not trust the fairy godmother. Something happened in Lillian's family history that ruined the fairy godmother's mentality, and this is her revenge. She used to be a witch, but now she's a witch posing as a fairy. This is her sick, complex, psychotic, twisted revenge, and I'm not sure what kind of things the royals did to her. Most likely, though, they shunned her because of her magical ways out of fear. I might go into this more later, but for now, I'm the Theorizer.
Theories of the Godmother 2 of 4.
Dama Fortuna, aka the fairy godmother from Shrek, is wickedly villainous. I made a bunch of backed and theorized claims about her in the first part to this now 2-part series, such as how she actually wanted Shrek to save Fiona for her own grand scheme reasons. I also concluded that she is responsible for all of the villains in Far, Far Away being evil, and she did it because she wants her son to marry Fiona, so that she can be on top of Far, Far Away's political setting. I figured that this was all because she wanted revenge on the kingdom, perhaps because she had anger regarding the previous royals, Queen Lillian's family, and because she wants to take everything over because of her newfound inferiority complex. It's utterly imperative that you watch part 1 before this, or if you've already seen it, rewatch it immediately, because that video will flow right on into this one. And here's the surprise. I have more evidence for all of this that starts making my whole theory even more likely.
Tell us!
Infinitely more shockingly creepy.
You're trying to keep sane because you don't want your classmates and teachers to see me lose it? Tybolt, it's okay.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and as you know, in part 1 I claimed that Dama Fortuna has ruined the lives of many villains, making them evil. More proof of her possibly ruining the lives of the villains is seen in Rumpelstiltskin. It just so happened that Shrek saved Fiona immediately as Harold and Lillian were about to sign a paper that would throw away their kingdom. The fairy godmother's time with all of this is utterly impeccable, and Rumpelstiltskin's rage only grew from that point forward. She's creating villains. Another thing I talked about in part 1 is the godmother's neglection of her son, Charming. She doesn't truly care about him, and he is the means to her end, to her domination of the kingdom. I go on to explain the instances in which she doesn't tell Charming much about her plans, and this right here is more evidence of that. Charming had no idea.
To be honest, you guys, I saw Shrek 2 one time, but I never saw Shrek 3.
That Shrek would show up and take Fiona. And in part 1 I made it very clear that the godmother wanted all of this to happen, and she in fact was the witch who casted the curse on Fiona to begin with. The final thing I discussed was in my major 2016 Shrek timeline video, and it was that the magic mirror, which advertised Fiona as a candidate for rescue, was a strange thing in the movie. Fiona was supposed to be on lockdown by the godmother, and she was only supposed to be rescued by Charming, so Who let the mirror in on this information about Fiona? In my 2016 timeline video, I said it could have been Queen Lillian, who suspected the godmother of evil but knew nothing of the true plans, and thus let the advertisement reach Farquaad. But now, I think it was the fairy godmother who sent it. I believe it to a very high extent. Lillian never could have slipped the mirror past the godmother's plans unless the godmother wanted it to, or she did it herself. So
This is starting to get creepy. Thank you, Mr. Galaxy-Wad. Hey, boss, I know the ancient Aztec watched you summon Mort. In Nika, as shown in Madness, Cure ravels in... What? What in the world? What is this? What is this madness? Galaxy-Wad, I'm confused now. What are you trying to summon?
So she wanted Shrek to save
Thanks,
Fiona.
bud.
Perhaps the godmother was
appreciate it.
even behind Farquaad wanting to exterminate fairy tale characters. Perhaps she's been granting him his wishes and forced all of the fairy tale characters into Shrek's swamp so he'd be forced to meet Fiona.
Okay.
After all, Dama Fortuna was supposed to be in the first movie, but it was mysteriously scrapped. So, I looked for more, and
Okay.
when watching the first Shrek movie over again, I realized something very specific and odd about Fiona's curse. Something in its wording. Her curse turned her into an ogre by night and kept her human during the day.
Right.
Until her first kiss of true love, which would turn her presumably back into a human after she kissed one. In the first Fairy Godmother video I made, and more primarily in my big major Shrek theory of 2016, I made the very accurate claim that it was in fact the Fairy Godmother herself who cast the initial curse on Fiona. She was the witch who set it all into motion, as that was how it happened in the original Shrek book. The godmother did this to, jumpstart her master plans, but there's something interestingly unique about the wording to the spell.
Right.
If she truly wanted Charming to save Fiona and turn her into a human, then why would she even allow this curse to have her stay an ogre to begin with? Why would the godmother make Fiona specifically allowed to become one or the other if she was so desperately wanting Fiona to get with Charming?
Right.
And Charming alone. Why not just make the curse say, true love's kiss will revert you into a human? Well, she didn't do that because there's a secret agenda behind this.
What is the
and she
agenda,
wanted
sir?
Shrek to save Fiona. She somehow knew Shrek specifically would be the one to save Fiona. It's why she sent Charming in immediately after her rescue. I said all of this in part 1, but why make Fiona an ogre? Why make Shrek specifically save her? And how did she know it would all play out so precisely? If Dama Fortuna really is behind even the first movie's plot and everything, why Shrek? Why ogres? I know the answer. The Fairy Godmother's powers root from...
He knows the answer. Are you guys ready? I believe I am ready. This is for your own good. Guys, why are you doing this to each other? Why are you doing this to each other? Stop. We have enough madness in this right now. There's enough madness right now.
From old-fashioned and historical witches, sort of like the ones from Shrek 4 kind of representing. The Fairy Godmother has deep roots in prophecies and alchemy. Yes, that kind of eerie witch. She needed Fiona's savior to be Shrek because it was always Shrek. That's how she knew. She has the ability to predict.
Thank you, Mr. Galaxy-Wad. The Shrek theory is produced before the Mort theory, but he realized they were connected further research. That's why Shrek is in the Mort vid? Let's continue.
The future. I know. It's like outlandish sounding, and I intentionally shied away from talking about this in part 1, but now I have evidence staring me in the frickin' face. Her name is Dama Fortuna. In the Shrek book, she was a fortune teller. Her name means Lady Luck or Dame of Fortune.
Okay.
That name applies to her making others' fortunes come true, but it also means fortune teller, her occupation in the book. She uses tarot cards to narrate the first quarter of the story, and she essentially stands outside of the story and prophesizes things. If that isn't undeniably stunning proof that she's prophesized all of this and then manipulatively acted upon it, I don't know what is.
Huh.
It makes me think that maybe her magic is quite simply an illusion perceived by everyone, and all of her power is rooted in her ability to prophesize and predict the future. Magic's just a side effect of her paganistically vast knowledge base.
Okay.
So, now that we've dealt with the idea that she manipulated Shrek, Farquaad, and Far Far Away, we finally once again have to return to her basis for all of this.
Okay.
We know she's doing this to become the leader of Far Far Away's royalty,
Yes.
and we know that it likely had something to do with her abilities being feared and shunned by Lillian's family, but that's not all. What exactly did she do? Well, her cottage turned factory might give us some clues. Possibly it could have very well been her first transitions of people. Using her magic to grant happy endings was likely seen as frightening and demonic back before she made it commonplace, and I bet she was shunned for it. Sort of like Rumpelstiltskin from the 4th movie. Shunned. So she began granting unhappy
Shunned.
endings in defiance. Cruel fates in return, creating villains which only would have amplified things back at her, to the point of her removing the highest regals and forcing the position to be open for a new king, who she was going to make sure was Harold the Frog. Lots of famous people are famous for initially frowned upon things which are forgotten over time, leaving only a superstar. Oftentimes, a superstar with a famously bad attitude, as seen in her posters. She turned from forbidden and dangerous into scantila-clad and notorious. The notoriety of these stars is often forgotten, or perhaps in her case, erased from the minds of all, leaving only A-list celebrities. And yes, she could have easily erased her darkest past from the minds of the citizens. She
Okay.
has memory potions. How do
True.
I know? I know because she can make people fall in love, which logically would require the erasing of various emotions and memories of opposing events. Perhaps it was her transition of the city, or rather her transition of one of the people on her walls of fame, but it was something that got her shunned by the ex-royals. She even advertises her creation of the Wicked Witch of the West in her cottage, which I think might have even been the tipping point for the royals. Either way, it was the same thing that we see her doing in the movie that got her shunned, and that's pushing her for fame and power. And the fairy godmother was finally put an end to by the combined power of her own magic and the central man at the start of her whole plan. How poetic. Until next time, I'm the Theorizer.
Okay, so we're diving deep into this, guys. We're diving... Okay, so... The fairy godmother in Shrek has gone from just a fairy godmother to this psychotic tarot-using prophesizer who is using her knowledge of the future to best benefit themselves, who has masterminded the whole situation in Far, Far Away land in order to put her son on the throne, and by getting her son on the throne, assume control of the kingdom in retribution for her shunning for magic powers. What does this have to do with Mort? We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Troy, the digital circus seemed to be based on "I have no mouth and I must scream." What do you think of the show? Better than mainstream? Anything's better than mainstream stuff, Troy. Anything's better than mainstream stuff. Okay, like anything. Thank you, Troy. Let's go.
Shrek. I'm back again for the fairy godmother. If you haven't seen the first 2 parts to this 3-part theory, I'll link them in the top right corner now, because they are crucial to watch before this one.
Crucial.
And they're pretty good. So do that, then return here and watch this, because I've made a discovery about Prince Charming's parentage, which came as a shock to me, will come as a shock to you.
Let's
and
hear
blew
it.
my damn mind so hard that I started shaking like a tased pufferfish. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and my analysis of Godmother Dama Fortuna has come to a 3rd part, and it's a bit of a mind-blower.
Let's go.
Here we go. I'm just going to get this much out right now. I do have reason to believe that Charming does have a father, and was not simply just created by the fairy godmother. It was something I pondered upon before, and it doesn't have much weight bearing on the fact that the godmother still carelessly used him, but I believe he was born. And this all ties together some hellish madness into a small idea that blows everything into new territory. The reason the
Okay.
fairy godmother is evil is because she's trying to rule Far Far Away's royal setting so that she can destroy the kingdom in an act of revenge against the previous royals, Queen Lillian's family. In the last 2 parts, I claimed that maybe they had shunned and ridiculed Dama Fortuna for her witchcraft and creating unnatural happy endings, but now I think I have an idea that makes her anger feel a little more sensible.
All right, let's
I
go.
believe Charming was actually born from one of the royals. Yes, I think that
Oh.
Charming is the son of the fairy godmother and one of the members of Lillian's family. And this was the core reason as to why she was so brutally shunned. The fairy godmother was considered to be an external stain on their family. This kind of thing has happened in many real-life royal families
True.
and powerful political powerhouses in which the mistress on the side is afterwards publicly ridiculed and forcefully hated. And while this does neatly tie up my theory on Dama Fortuna's revenge, it then opens up a plethora of other questions that I can luckily answer in a brilliant fashion. Firstly, we do know Charming
Warsmith, calm down. Warsmith, calm down. It's not that critical for you to do this right now. I would not. Let's go.
visually looks like he belongs to this royal family.
He does! I was thinking that a few minutes ago. He does look like he is their kid and not... It really does. Yeah, Lonely, you're not kidding, okay? You're really not kidding. Solar says, help, I camouflaged my Bane Blade and now it's gone. Is Creed around? If Creed is around, it might be behind a potted plant, dude.
Golden royal
Thank
hair,
you,
blue
Solar.
eyes, all of it is
All
seen
of it
before
is-
in the shared traits between Queen Lillian and Arthur.
True.
All the same. And they're the only three characters that really share this. This is nowhere near coincidental. And also you must consider the fact that Charming actually is a prince, and he says Far, Far Away legally is rightfully his. There
So basically, the story of Shrek involves... Now it's... Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Fiona is... Oh my good God. Oh no. Did Far Far Away Land turn into Alabama?
There are no other kingdoms around that he could even be a legal prince of except Duloc, and I highly doubt that Daddy Farquaad is a real thing outside of fan fictions born from a meme lord's sleep paralysis delusion.
Yeah.
So then the question it brings up is, who is he the son of? Well, the consensus by the Shrek community is that Lillian had at least one other brother who was the mysterious father of Arthur, and she of course had a father and a mother. Obviously Lillian's mother can't be Charming's father, leaving only Arthur's dad and the old king as candidates. The age difference between Prince Charming and Arthur is both significant and minor at the same time. Assuming
Okay.
Charming is in his mid to late 30s and Arthur is around 20, this could still mean either the old king or his son is Charming's dad. However, I do in fact believe it to be the king, because
Okay.
while Arthur's dad did mysteriously disappear from Arthur's life, making him a suspicious candidate, the king had far more sway and influence and likely more ability to ruin the godmother's life. Also, her age matches what his would be, and
True.
Lillian, at the time of Charming's birth, would have been a young adult. Young, beautiful witch and an older, regal man. Kind of an interestingly cliched royal scandal. I believe
Very
their relationship
cliched.
was meant to be a secret of sorts, but the godmother likely did it to have a tie to the family regardless.
Right.
So, whoa, I need to slow down here. Here, I'll take what I think happened bit by bit. Dama Fortuna, a young and beautiful good witch, began a secret relationship with Lillian's father, King Unnamed. A child is conceived, either accidentally or by Dama Fortuna's secret intentions, and the relationship begins to leak out. The king and the royals shun and ridicule Dama Fortuna for this. She
And sadly enough, this did happen a lot in medieval times. Like, this really did happen a lot. And it was kind of... It was a thing, okay? Nobles did whatever they wanted to, and anybody that cast a negative light on them was an evil person. Baron, thanks, bud. He said, old man, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon on Saturday. I would recommend it if you have time, and if not, see it when it comes out on Apple TV. I am going to have to at some point. It's a DiCaprio movie. I'm going to watch that thing. I'm just going to watch it. Appreciate it, Barrett, but I am going to watch that at some point.
Births Charming, who has the royals' signature wavy blonde hair and blue eyes. Lillian's brother left, and possibly with the fairy godmother had a son, Arthur Pendragon. Oh, that brings a whole new layer onto this. Arthur's mom is also the godmother? I have no proof for it, but it's entirely possible. The likely reason Arthur's father left after dropping him at the school is because he needed to save his kingdom, but he was promptly stopped and destroyed by the fairy godmother, who'd already disposed of the king and queen, and had already begun her plans to spark a relationship between Harold the Frog and Princess Lillian Pendragon. It is so neatly tying all of this together, it's nothing short of brilliantly perfect. And I mean, it's odd to include a random subplot about Arthur's dad in Shrek 3. They had it for the bonding effect between Shrek and Arthur, but they never really dwell on it. I sometimes wonder if Charming is Arthur's father, but that obviously makes absolutely no sense at all. I think the fairy godmother quite simply was desperate for fame in the beginning, but it escalated to full-on royal power after she was shunned and ridiculed. She birthed Charming intentionally to worm her way into the royals permanently, but it backfired in her face. And she's very evil. I think she was the one who removed the headless horseman's head so he couldn't play the flute like his lifelong dream was stated as.
That's fucked up.
I think she was hoping that Harold the Frog would die immediately after she did because of his overused frog age. And for those wondering why she couldn't avoid her death, it was because she had no idea how it would happen. She may be able to read the future, but only in tarot cards. And that's not simply enough. So now what do you think of her? Rude, fame-starved serpent turned supervillainous dictator? Check. She's nuts. Her ties to the royal family were scandalous and sexual. She wormed her way around everyone, likely killed all of Lillian's family discreetly, and Charming is at the core of everything. But his lack of any true knowledge is why, when he was on his own, he flailed around unorganized like a stupid head. Shrek 3, everybody. I hope this was a relatively satisfying semi-conclusion to my trilogy on the fairy godmother. Until next time, I'm the Theorizer.
Okay. Now we're gonna put everything together. This is where it all comes together. This is where it all happens, guys. Let's go.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and today we'll be discussing the alternate timeline repercussions of Shrek 4, and I'll be tying it to my 3 amazing theories on the fairy godmother. I love explaining paradoxical temporalities, so here we go. So Rumpelstiltskin is a key component of Shrek 4, whose alterations of prior instated timelines results in plot holes, which today I shall explain away as hidden lores.
Okay, now I didn't watch the movie with Rumpelstiltskin in it, okay? I didn't watch that movie. Solar, thank you. You activated the car alarm on the Bane Blade. You what? Which fired the Demolisher Cannon into a platoon of guardsmen. Wasn't you. You wrote it down, my guy. I'm telling everybody. Thank you, though. But I'm telling everybody. Tybalt, please pass summary judgment. You're the closest thing to Dante I have in this chat.
In my past 3 videos on the fairy godmother, I delved into everything and ripped a massive conspiracy out of these films that runs deeper than anything superficially expected. However, I made all 3 videos before even uploading the first one, so I was caught off guard when a couple of commenters noticed something interesting. It was something that they saw as counter evidence to my theory, but I pinned their comments because in actuality their evidence proved my theory outright. It was quite simply this. In Shrek 4's alternate timeline, Shrek was never born. Fiona later explains that without Shrek to save her, she simply got tired and escaped the tower on her own. However, guess what? Charming never showed up afterwards anyways to save her. In Shrek 2, Charming showed up right after Shrek, and this odd timing was prime evidence for my fairy godmother theories, but now there's objective proof that the fairy godmother wanted Shrek to save Fiona. Shrek's non-existence caused her plan to collapse, so she never sent in Charming. Ultimate proof. But these commenters saw this as counter-evidence because it meant...
Okay, so let's read this comment. I think there's something that debunks your theory. You said the fairy godmother waited for Shrek to save Fiona. But then why in Shrek Forever After, in the Rumpelstiltskin timeline, Shrek does not exist? So, if there was no obstacle, why didn't the fairy godmother send Charming earlier before Fiona left the dragon lair? It might be that Rumpelstiltskin also made the fairy godmother and Charming disappear, but he doesn't know.
Messes with the fourth movie's timeline a bit, and as I've said in very old Shrek theories of mine, the fourth movie's timeline contradicts itself, and the counter evidence doesn't break my theories, it just breaks the fourth movie altogether.
Right.
So now, after 2 years of thinking over the alternate timeline, I'm finally here to put an end to the plot holes, and guess what? It all miraculously ties in with my 3-part Godmother theories. So first of all, the reason she wanted Shrek to go to begin with was a reason she didn't like. Even with her tarot cards, she could have altered the outcome, but she chose to keep Shrek because he was the quickest route she foresaw, because she needed the king and queen to avoid taking Rumpel's deal. The sheer and utter coincidence of them literally beginning to sign his contract and a dude comes crashing in with the news of Fiona's rescue is staggeringly timely. The godmother needed a quick solution so that the king and queen didn't disappear and fracture her plans, so she begrudgingly picked the future she foresaw that involved Shrek. The timing is utterly perfect, and it also explains her extra hatred of Shrek in the movies. He was a necessary problem she now wanted to eliminate.
Okay.
If you can recall, I discussed how the fairy godmother, also known as Dama Fortuna, was most likely an old-fashioned kind of witch, similar to that of which we see in Shrek 4. All of the green, kind of pagan ones. So what if I told you that there's a good chance we are shown the fairy godmother's backstory in Shrek 4? I believe she used to live in this trailer park before her self-upgrade. She was always a lot like Rumpelstiltskin, a fortune teller who'd grant the wishes of people she preyed on. I almost feel like Rumpel was the one who took up the torch of scheming blackmail after the fairy godmother left the trailer park. Them knowing each other would explain
It's a carriage park. It's a carriage park.
lot, such as how the fairy godmother knew about Rumpel's deal with the king and queen, which she put an end to via Shrek saving Fiona. So what about these massive plot holes and timeline repercussions I keep going on about?
Right.
Well, to deal with all of that, we first must establish what exactly Lillian and Harold's contract did to them. It vaporized them, and it clearly did something that the godmother was horrified of. The contract makes use of the word disappear, and as Rumpel said, it was a play on words. In order for all of the king and queen's problems to disappear, I believe it simply made them disappear, so their problems would go with them.
True.
They faded like Shrek, meaning there might have been a temporal change going on, and simply making them vanish cannot give him legal rights to the kingdom. No, he'd planned this for ages, hence his insane revenge on Shrek. The past probably was changed by this contract they signed, and remember, they're his contract, so he can remember all of the timelines that are created. In fact, I think he was shunned by the previous royals as well. You know, Lillian's family. And God knows how old he really is. He's like a fundamentally mutated witch, sort of like Dama Fortuna.
Alright, hey Nick.
Maybe the fairy godmother got her ideas of making people's lives miserable from him. He's a more intellectual salesman, and we actually see him convince people that their lives suck. He ruins lives too. Do you think it was any coincidence that Shrek's days felt repetitive at the beginning of Shrek 4? I bet Rumpel had some hand in all of it. Anyways, why do the timelines mess with the movie? What are these plot holes?
Maybe, but why was Shrek so happy, so content with his life at the beginning?
Well, I'm sorry if what I'm about to discuss gets confusing, because I'm about to explain around the counter-argument brought upon by my commenters. I'm about to explain the reason they think their evidence works against my theory rather than with it, and why that doesn't exactly work. Okay, here we go. Their argument was a question asking why Dama Fortuna didn't send in Charming anyways to save Fiona. The answer is because Shrek never existed due to Rumpel, and Dama Fortuna, a tarot reader, noticed this timeline fracture. In the parallel universe, she ceased all areas of her original plan and began to rework it and have Charming save Fiona differently, but then Harold and Lillian vanished due to their contractual disappearing deal with Rumpelstiltskin. As I stated, their crowns may have fallen onto the ground, but it's likely that Rumpel was subsequently transported to this parallel universe universe the minute that happened, though we didn't see it. But guess what? Because the fairy godmother didn't try to stop Rumple, and we've established that there's a chance they knew each other, this means there's also a possibility that Rumpelstiltskin had DLC made with the fairy godmother, and Shrek signing the contract in the fourth movie not only resulted in an alteration upon the histories of Harold and Lillian, but it also messed with the past of Dama Fortuna. This leads me to then question how they know each other, which is what I will get into now.
Okay.
I first of all believe that, to some extent, the Shrek book character known as Dama Fortuna wasn't simply translated into the fairy godmother character, but part of Fortuna was also translated into Rumpelstiltskin, or rather the creepy witch side of Fortuna. Logically, this would tie the godmother and Rumple's backstories together on a fundamental level. I think one of them got their powers from the other. Now, I would say that Rumple wished for a bunch of contracts in Magic Inc., but based off of the fairy godmother's backstory I established, it only makes sense that she would turn to him in her time of need, wanting revenge on the previous royals that wronged her. So if Rumple made a deal with the fairy godmother, perhaps she failed to sign it because she suddenly learned of Harold the Frog being in need of saving. However, in Rumple's altered timeline, Harold vanished with Lillian, meaning the fairy godmother had nobody to blackmail.
True.
So in the past, she signed a deal with Rumple to exact revenge on the royal family in some other way, leaving her completely segregated from Fiona and the original plans in that old timeline.
Okay.
I don't think Harold and Lillian were never born, though, because then Fiona would have ceased to exist in the alternate timeline as well, which she did not. Where did Lillian and Harold go then when they disappeared? I don't know. Probably a subsequent alternate universe, but more on that in 30 seconds.
Okay, more on that in 30 seconds. We're starting to get there.
So in the alternate timeline, Rumpelstiltskin...
We're getting to psychotic now. Let's go.
Gave
I'm ready for the drama.
A massive increase in powers, leading to her being the juggernaut of magic she is in Shrek 2. Rumple's a sneaky little thing. He seems to remember all timelines he took place in, since they are his contracts. What's weird, though, is the fact that the ogre tribe from the parallel universe seemed to engage in a dance sequence with Shrek during the credits of Shrek 4. They also captured Rumple, leading me to believe that it was him who granted all of their memories back. Then the final question is, if all of this happened in the alternate timeline and everything still remained, though without the godmother's interference, why do Harold and Lillian mention her in their carriage? And who cursed Fiona, if not the godmother? I am so sorry, but here's where things utterly spiral into complicatedness. I doubt you'll be able to follow along, so please watch this video several times. These two remaining questions are left, which means there's yet another timeline, the one we see at the beginning of the film, where Lillian and Harold never signed, but the godmother did. Back in the past. We never see this timeline where all three parties sign their contracts that I'm discussing. Let's call the original Shrek timeline number 1, Shrek 4's alternate timeline number 2, and this big other one we never see, where the godmother signed her way back in the past, number 3. Number 1 has no complications, but number 2 starts to get weird, because Harold and Lillian sign and disappear. So why didn't the godmother go to save Fiona? Because Shrek's non-existence gave her no opportunities for further manipulation. My theory is that she went back to Rumple, signed a contract, and this put her into the timeline where Harold and Lillian didn't exist even prior to when they would have signed the contract, giving the fairy godmother the powers required to dominate the kingdom, which failed as Rumple used her contract and magic against her, and after killing her in timeline number 2 and 3, took on the kingdom as his own. Oh, I love the multiverse. Especially when there are 3 universes, the third of which only theoretically exists, until the second universe throws a villainous fairy into the third, therefore legitimizing the third, and causing 2 and 3 to merge after a Rumple deal that was supposed to happen years ago in timeline 3 ends up occurring in the future in timeline 2. I don't think Rumple was the one who suggested to the godmother to make Fiona an ogre, after all. In timeline 2, we see that he knows fully well about her curse, more than he should know from reading a damn children's book. Shrek, give me more, baby! I'll squeeze the lore out of this thing until there's nothing left but basic dimensions. Until next time, I'm the Theorizer.
Okay. So, we're starting to understand. But what does this have to do with Mort? I'm waiting to see. Solar, thank you. Hey, you can't execute me if you try. I'll tell the dark angels that you are talking about the fallen. Solar, I've already forwarded this entire conversation, and several dark angels watch this podcast. Asmodai is already on his way to your house. The cult of Reggie.
Guess what?
chicken butt.
Oh!
Speaking of unauthorized comedic intrusions, I have found something conspiratorial and questionably worthy of a video. A shockingly random, mysterious, uninvestigated thread in the most obscure corner of the most random transitional scene in a kid's animated film sequel almost 2 decades old. In Shrek 2, we get, not 10 minutes into the film, a shocking, appalling, offhand scene that shakes me to my very core.
Okay.
Enough, Reggie.
Absolutely despicable. Do you see it? This insolent trumpeter has deviated from instruction to blare his unbridled snark at the most important moment in the Royal Kingdom's known history.
Okay.
He plays the Hawaii Five-0 theme song.
Right.
I would start going nuts about how it exists at this time in history, but we know full well that the Shrek films have a convergent timeline with TV shows similar to Cops in it, so this is typical. It's the study of Shrek. I've done it thoroughly.
Okay.
No, what gets me is that this is a very important moment which he has chosen to interrupt with cringe for
The cringe is there. The crimson cringe.
no other reason than to further his personal ego. Shrek's
Yes.
unlikely to have seen Far Far Away's version of Hawaii Five-0 out in his swamp. How dare a class
Do you get good cable out in the swamp? Do you get good internet out in the swamp? Those are questions that must be answered. And I don't know anybody that can answer them. Do you get fiber internet in the swamp?
clown buffoon attempt this? The dude who is giving the announcement, he is the Herald, I think you pronounce it as they call it, spelt like this, not like our King Harold. Anyways, he gives us information about this fool who has intruded the most integral moment in Fiona's adult life. He scolds him and says, "Enough, Reggie." And with that, we begin our journey into this untapped, unprecedented gold mine. Why did he choose to interrupt this important moment? What does this imply about him?
Okay.
And is he more than just a petty joker? Don't click off this video. Reggie will find you. Hello, I'm
Hello.
the Theorizer, and don't tell me this is an overreaction, because it is. Best I understand it, Reginald here is a reference to a character from a 1937 movie called A Damsel in Distress, but that doesn't really help us. And interestingly enough, that's the only tidbit of trivia on the entirety of the internet regarding Reggie. A blank slate. Perfection. As far as we get to know him in this scene, he is a far, far away inhabitant who plays for the Royal Messenger. Brown hair, brown eyes, medium build, middle age. I went frame by frame to identify the handedness in which he plays his instrument, only to learn that typically this thing is held in a certain way regardless.
Okay.
Clever. Dreamworks even sacrificed symmetry to keep the handedness the same on either side. In terms of personality, he is a Chad. Jock. Or rather, he is a Chad on the inside and a geek on the outside.
Okay.
This is crucial. Please believe me and do not forget it. The
Okay.
musicians of Far, Far Away are fairly interesting characters, and we do get a little bit of background info on them when we see the high school in Shrek the Third. Here we see the youth of Far, Far Away and beyond, and how they are raised and taught. It's likely Reggie went to school here, given it being the only significant place we see a school band in full fashion in these movies.
We are steadily approaching the... Yes. Yes. Mr. Galaxy what? Boss, I promise all the theories add up, and no, you are nowhere near close to understanding the truth. Madness cannot be comprehended by a mere mortal. Makes you think I'm mortal. Just saying. Continuing on. Madness. Madness! Yes!
It makes sense too. I mean,
Thank you,
I
Mr.
do believe a
Goslad.
good chunk of Far, Far Away goes here. I believe that
Okay.
he went here and left a clear Reggie-shaped impact in the school. But then I rewatched a scene and a realization hit me like a ton of bricks.
Let's hear it.
He did absolutely go here, and he did
influence the school. This pushes my upcoming theory into being slightly more likely because get this. When Shrek goes to the assembly, the band in the background does the exact same thing Reggie does. Shrek comes in and they deviate from their course to play an instrumental rendition of a meme. In this case, All Star. For those who are sane and don't worship meme culture, you might not recall, but All Star by Smash Mouth is Shrek's very own theme song.
True.
It's a joke, it's funny, and here we see the Shrek films doing it before it was cool, just like Reggie. A meme-worthy instrumental intrusion? This band is suspicious, and Reggie certainly is tied to it. He went to school here, like the vast majority of far, far away boarding schoolers did. Reggie is a Chad on the inside, geek on the outside. In a high school full of division, the only point of unity is inside jokes.
Right.
This is universally applicable memes. We see that in school, the band geeks, chess nerds, and jousting jocks are all united in their goal of one meme in particular. Arthur Pendragon, the butt of every joke.
Okay.
The unity of this school is commendable, but how did it reach this point? I think Reggie assassinated the king. Reggie...
Wait, what? How? What? Wait. What?
He is notable enough to be featured in Shrek 2 above all other instrument players in the Royal Summons Band because he's the improviser who is just that good and smug enough to throw in his improv song. This small group of musicians seems to be used for the most important of important deliveries and messages, meaning they need to be the top of their game, namely the trumpeters, what with their timely musical unity. During the Fairy Godmother song, we see another band of sorts, but this is the much larger band responsible for parties and balls. Plus, there's only one less competent brass player here, and we seriously don't get a good enough shot to see if it's actually Reggie or not.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards not because these aren't very smug musicians, and also because in the first film we see more meme-like ones.
Yes.
An accordionist accompanying Robin Hood, and in Shrek 4 we see the Pied Piper, both with equal meme talent. The Piper was in the alternate universe, but at the end we see the Prime World's rendition because, like I said before, I think some semblance of the alt timeline's memory seeped back into our main ones, hence the Ogre Fam as well. My point is that someone in Worcestershire Academy is outputting these snarky social rejects to mock the hierarchy. From what we've seen, Reggie is the one with the most important job and the one with the most timely meme skill. This implies that he's both best in class and the originator. This isn't just bored band geeks, this is them inserting their band class boredom into the most serious of situations or abusing the power of music. My point, the cult of Reggie, or whomever else could possibly be exporting these corrupted musicians from Worcestershire, is doing so as a power play.
Okay.
The United Bullies have targeted themselves onto Arthur, which would imply once again that the whole school, and whomever originated this inside joke, has the goal of bringing down the monarchy one joke at a time, until royalty means nothing anymore.
Okay.
Merlin was the only one who took an interest in Arthur, and he ended up quitting from stress, neurosis, and fatigue. See? Absolute correlation. At first I thought maybe Merlin created this meme as a failed experiment. I mean, he does hilariously hijack a piano during the climax, and it would explain his regrettable stress. But then I thought, no, because Reggie. So Reggie, or whomever, pushed this school to mock royalty in the form of extant music, physical bullying, and mental abuse, clearly has had a bad experience with royalty themselves. Sounds a hell of a lot like my theory tetralogy on the Fairy Godmother. This also means each theory proves the other because we slowly get more and more evidence that the previous royals of Far, Far Away were indeed pretty nasty and got what was coming to them. Unfortunately, Queen Lillian is quite kind, so she gets the brunt of everyone's revenge during the films. Reggie, or the other unknown originator, has saved the masses at the expense of royalty.
But where do we get that he assassinated the king?
The expense of Arthur. I feel as if in some way Arthur's dad wanted to get back at the family he didn't belong to, so he staged all of this somehow, but Reggie is not Arthur's dad. Remember, Arthur's dad is blonde. Perhaps this is the revenge of some sort of joker or a jester, doing it the only way they know how to, memes. But Lillian's maturity likely eliminated the need for such entertainment. Again, there are signs that the previous royals, though, they were nasty. I do want to highlight that by all of these actions, Harold the Frog was killed so Arthur could become king. Who did this? There's a lot here I could spin, but the answer is really quite simple. Harold died from being an extremely old frog after the fairy godmother's magic vanished from him. Merlin's magic is also sort of bizarre. I think he might be a Rumpelstiltskin-esque witch as well. Anyways, Reggie did not assassinate the king, but I do believe he did unwittingly in being one of the many pawns in the game of the fairy godmother's plan to bring down Far, Far Away. Reggie...
Wait. Oh, okay. Brain hurt. There's a reason I took a week off in between doing these. Oh my god. It all makes sense with a broken mind. Okay, X in chat if you're following this. Y if you're questioning why. Oh, why in the name of God?
himself has an instrumental cult of meme lords who abuse royalty whenever they can in the slightest of ways that they can from the second they hit this high school. The fairy godmother uses memes to her advantage.
True.
The reason that Arthur was treated so brutally is because he was royalty. Was it worth it? Well, he will only perpetuate the cycle because his last words to Worcestershire were mocking and condescending about how he's finally become king. A vicious cycle that humbles royalty only drives the commoners up the wall. Now there is one final thing I want to touch upon, and it's that I finally have a genetic depiction of Arthur's mother. She very likely has brown hair and the maiden name Le Fay. In bonus features on the Shrek 3 disc, we see profiles of characters and see one called Morgan Le Fay, who states to be Arthur's cousin. There is a chance she could in fact be the daughter of Reggie, though that is extremely unlikely. Point is, Le Fay is not a name heard elsewhere in these films, and the genetics are not consistent with the blonde royals, meaning she's on the other side. Arthur's mother was a brunette then, which may assist us in the future.
Okay.
There's lots of shifty stuff overall. I do wonder how Reggie and friends got out of the swamp and back to Far, Far Away so quickly, or how they even got there. At the end, it sort of looks like they just dive into the swamp. They don't have any transportation, so there you have it. Reggie is either the leader of or a high-ranking member of a meme cult that uses musical comedy to take down monarchies. What a conspiracy. What bullshit.
Donkey's okay. But I'm so confused right now. How did Reggie wind up causing the death of the king? How did this happen? And what does this have to do with Mort? I'm so confused right now.
Shrek. This movie has twist after twist after twist and many mysteries. In my last Shrek video, which I posted a year ago, I delved even deeper into the fairy godmother's plan and explained all of it, including the parts not explicitly said in the movie. And this time, I'm going to explain how the dragon can have mutant donkey babies.
I don't want to know how the dragon can have mutant donkey babies. I don't want to know how the dragon can have mutant donkey babies. I don't want to know how the dragon can have mutant donkey babies. Oh my god. This is the question I don't want to know the answer to. This is a question I never sought to learn. This accident of genetics. How? Why? Please, just end it.
I'm the Theorizer, and I'm going to call these things Donkagons. I know that everyone else seems
Donkagons
to call them Dronkeys, but I think
Glade Freeze, shut up about the Bradley. No, stop it.
Donkagons sounds way cooler.
Donkagons does sound better.
Remember, this is just my theory as to how all of this works. I don't know if this is obvious or if others have considered it, but it's just for fun, and I feel like I should explain it for those who don't know. Besides, I love making Shrek videos. Alright, I'm ready. Let's Shrek-splain these atrocities.
Please no.
So it's no secret that Donkagons are impossible. They are hideous abominations to nature,
yes,
and
they
no
are.
donkey can breed with a dragon. I mean, how in the name of Donald Trump would that work? Honestly, I don't even want to explain the traumatizing procedure, dare I say trek, that this noble steed would need to venture on to accomplish this. Oh my god, I just barfed. My point is, Vorkarounds are paranormal little freaks of nature. They don't happen. Not even in the logic of something as redonkulous as Shrek. Unless they are aided by something, of course, that is not natural. Something supernatural.
Great.
So what do we know in these movies?
So basically, Dean and Sam Winchester shut up and helped Donkey have a whole bunch of kids with a dragon. Sweet!
To be supernatural. Well, the magic, of course. And as Puss in Boots says, the fairy godmother is the largest supplier of hexes, potions, and magic in the whole kingdom. So does this somehow root back to the fairy godmother? Well, it isn't like this part pixie pain in the pants ever even met dragon. At least not directly.
Okay.
Well, I suppose there was the fact that she created the dragon to guard Fiona's tower, but I'm referring to after that. She never cared to help Donkey and the dragon. Why would she do anything to help them achieve their happily little quaint mutant family? And so, I reprised that last line I made. It wasn't directly. The fairy godmother's happily ever after potion was stolen from her cottage by Shrek and his bumbling buffoons. When Shrek drank from it, he and Fiona shifted into humans. It also changed various other things rather than just their bodies.
Okay.
See how when Shrek transforms back into an ogre, his clothes change back with him. Initially, when he became human, they never did that. His clothes just stayed the same, as they didn't really need to change. But
Right.
basically from this, we know that it isn't just their bodies that change. It's everything that pulls together their happily ever after. That's how the potion
Exon Chattanooga Warsmith Hanzo. They deserve it at this point. They've earned it. Let's give them what they deserve.
literally works. Notice how Donkey and Shrek change forms at the exact same time.
Right.
Despite the fact that Donkey drank the potion slightly earlier than Shrek. Also, notice how Donkey turns back into a donkey at the exact same time. And this can only mean one thing.
Right.
The potion he drank was not responsible for his transformation into a horse. It was Shrek and Fiona's potion that changed him.
It was their drinking of that same potion. What?
The fact that it changes him at both the same times as Shrek, and that we already know that other things change with this potion, proves in every way that Donkey was turned into a stallion because of Shrek and Fiona's drinking, not because of the one he drank.
This isn't the first time I've heard somebody referred to as a stallion after heavy amounts of drinking.
And why did he change? Because in their happily ever after, they constantly call him their noble steed. So, based off of this incredibly powerful potion, he was altered into exactly that.
Okay.
A noble steed. I mean, if he drank the potion himself, why would he turn into a noble steed? It just doesn't make sense, but here, with this explanation, it does, and it fits in pretty much every way. But I suppose
Why?
you could argue that they all simply changed at midnight and then had like 24 hours of lasting effect, but that was never a rule or law. It had, and the chance of that happening is never stated as likely or probable. Besides, even if it were likely, it wouldn't really matter when you consider the noble steed fact and also what I'm about to say. And
Okay.
what does this all mean? How am I tying this all to the Dunkgons? Well, right after Donkey drank the potion, Shrek said that it probably wouldn't work on donkeys. Yet, it would work on an ogre? Why would it be fit for an ogre and not a donkey? Aren't they both animals? So we know
Strong enough for a donkey, made for an ogre. That was awful.
that it would still likely work on a donkey anyway, since it works on Shrek, but I'm guessing it's directly intended for humans only. And so, this arises the question, what would result from Donkey drinking it? Most viewers of the movie didn't second guess it, and those who did, assumed that the dragon either became a stallion like Donkey, or more likely, a larger, shinier, more powerful dragon. And while both of those are good, it doesn't explain the fact that Donkey only became a horse because of Shrek drinking the potion.
Right.
So what really happened when Donkey drank it? Dun 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 dun! Dunkagons. These little mutant freaks of nature are the result of Donkey drinking the happily ever after potion. What
Okay.
does it promise? Divine beauty, happiness, and comfort. Does it say that this beauty must be physical? No. No, it does not.
Right.
Is happiness limited to ogres becoming humans? No, of course it's not. The beauty of a family and miracles of giving birth to a litter of Dunkagons actually being successful. Only something magic could sustain, and oddly enough, Dreamworks made this potion say maximum strength on it for literally no extra random reason. Why that significance? Unless, of course, it was intended to do something big.
Right.
Like engage childbirth from miles upon miles away. And while it may have the power to do that, it's not like the fairy godmother actually knew that was going to happen. That's ridiculous. But what we do indeed know is that this fairy godmother's magic has the capability to create offspring that isn't the same breed. Want a direct example? Prince Charming, a fairy, has a human son. Bizarre? Certainly. Out of the question, I think
Well, he did say earlier that she's not really a fairy, she's just a witch.
not. We've seen it twice
Bye,
now.
Zors.
Also, Dragon shows up in the after credits with her Dunkagons, having virtually zero weighing effect on the rest of the story. It's just so random and out of the blue, as they could have just as easily introduced them in the third movie. This being Dreamworks, there's always a significance to everything, making it likely that this final scene does in fact have some effect on the main story.
Okay. Dragon, there's a little smoke card thing here at the camera towards the viewers.
Making it likely that this final scene does in fact have some effect on the main story. And what would that possibly be? Oh, right, happily ever after potion. Sorry, this is just me quickly butting in while editing, and I want you to notice something. Notice how when they're all transforming back, it's only Shrek and Fiona who are really glowing. Donkey just glows a little bit. This shows how it is all revolving around them, and that him turning into a seed is due to Shrek drinking it. I mean, they begin to flash out uncontrollably, while Donkey kind of just glows a little and shapeshifts. And one more point I have. Donkey fell asleep a few seconds before Shrek. This is because Donkey drank the potion a few seconds before Shrek, and was affected slightly before, but then they both transformed at the same time when Shrek fell asleep. I repeat, it is Shrek's drinking of the potion that turned Donkey. But there's one unfortunate blockage in this theory that will be hard to work around.
Okay.
Shrek and Fiona needed to kiss before midnight if they wanted to stay in their new forms. This is the only flaw in my Dunkagon happily ever after theory. Donkey and the dragon never kissed before midnight, as she was likely back in the swamp, but she does return at the very end. So how exactly does this potion work then?
Right.
We have a bucket full of evidence and a supernatural answer to a supernatural problem, but this midnight kiss rejects everything. So let's try and work around this little barricade. This potion doesn't have many rules, but the big rule is to kiss your true love by midnight and make its effects permanent.
Right.
But here's the thing. Dunkagons are literally born creatures. They cannot just fly back into the womb and be unborn. And
That is... They're demons! They're demons from 40k! They're demons from 40k. He's wrong. They're demons from 40k. They're never born. The Donkagons are never born from 40k. They're Slaneshi. That's what they are. They're Slaneshi demons from 40k. Where's the Theorizer rays? The Theorizer watching this. They're Slaneshi demons from 40k. That's what the fuck they are.
And disappearing into thin air isn't really a standard option either, so that's one kind of sort of reason. But then I also realized that Donkey was affected by the potion when Shrek took it, and he was also affected by his own drinking of it. So could Shrek and Fiona's undoing of the potion have somehow affected Donkey's? That too
I feel the warp of it taking me. It is a good pain.
is a possibility, but there's still more possibilities. Notice how Donkey himself wasn't exactly the one who was changed by the potion, it was his wife. Do you think this could have led to the effects on his love interest being full on and permanent? We may never know. But there's one thing I do know. If there's anything that the Shrek universe has taught me, it's that there's always a way to work around the laws of magic. See Rumpelstiltskin in the fourth movie. All of his contracts have a way to get out of them. But there are also other reasons why Donkey didn't need to kiss. And I have another option as to why it could have worked still. Another option is that maybe Shrek was right, and it works differently on donkeys. All of the evidence is here, and there are many different ways for Donkey and the Dragon to work around these rules, without even knowing it. So, I'm going to leave you with that. Shrek and Fiona's potion losing effect was sent through Donkey and Dragon. Or, Donkagons can not be unborn. Or, Donkey's lack of apparent effects of the potion he drank led to dragons being amplified and permanent.
Or, it just works differently on donkeys. Either way, though, this theory has value to it, and there's always a way to work around things like the potion's rules, especially when you are a donkey and a dragon. Also, here's the big one, which I think is the correct answer. Notice how the one final warning on the potion is that it's not intended for those who are hyperactive or nervous, and this is likely for comedic effect of parodying medications, but regardless, Donkey shows to be quite hyperactive, and Shrek looks at him, worried. So is that the official workaround? Does Donkey only partially qualify, thus breaking the rules? I think that fits, as, well, this is surprisingly random, and Shrek and Puss look at Donkey as he's acting all hyperactive. Such a weird thing to include out of comedy. Dreamworks. So that's most of what I've got for now. But I do know this. I am not done with this theory. I will try to return to it when I get a successful conclusion on how this potion's rules really work. I will decide on an answer. It has to be one of those 5 reasons, but most likely, the last one. Donkey breaking the warnings can result in altered outcomes, or maybe it's a good mix of all of them. Either way, until next time, I am the Theorizer, and I thought this theory was a really fun one to come up with and share with you guys.
Donkey's Children Part 2.
The horrific abomination.
Okay, so we need to get in contact with the Theorizer and let him know what the Dronkens, the Doggins, the Droggins, the whatever the hell they are, that they're actually Slaneshi demons. They're actually Slaneshi demons. That's what they are. And that potion is a potion of Slanesh. So Mort is technically related to 40k as well. This ties into 40k, and Mort, since nobody realizes he's actually as much of a threat as he is without looking as hard as he has at this, Mort is actually Malal, canon yet not canon. The Donkagons are demons of 40k, and they may be Mort's demons. Mort is Malal. I'm calling it. I'm calling it.
In the
We need the leg to bring comfort. Very well. Okay, here's the leg. There you go. There's the leg right there. Everybody feel good now? Everybody feel good now? All right.
Shrek films that are the Dronkeys, or as I call them, Donk.
Wait. Back it up a couple of seconds, guys. Back it up a couple of seconds. Tell me that these aren't chaos demons. Tell me. Tell me that these aren't chaos demons. You can't, because they are.
Donkagons shouldn't be able to
They even have a demon named Donkagons.
exist, right? What kind of crazy magic is this? A donkey cannot reproduce with a dragon. That's fundamentally insane. Luckily, about a year and a half ago, I'd spent weeks thinking it over, and I ended up making a full-blown video explaining what I think allowed these things to be born. Click the eye icon in the top right corner now if you want to view that first, since this is a big follow-up to that video. Basically, I ended up deducing that the happily ever after potion
They're
Donkey
not
drank
cute, they're
actually
demons.
did have an effect on his true love. It made her into some kind of super dragon that allowed her to birth the abominations, all in the name of magical true love.
Slanesh. Magical true love. That's Slanesh. That is Slanesh, okay? I'm just saying, stop saying the Dronkeys are cute. Thank you, Mr. Godslab. Boss, I told you he's the black hole in Zinch's realm that spat out the two-headed chicken. Think about it, all-consuming void that the gods fear. I don't know. I'm saying he's 40k. What company is Henry Cavill getting that 40k movie from? Is it Dreamworks? Is it Dreamworks?
This is supported by loads of evidence, and most people agreed with me on the idea. but there were a couple of fundamental flaws in my theorizing that I only noticed after uploading. However, I can successfully say that these so-called flaws are nothing more than mere stepping stones to expanding the theory even more.
Okay. I don't know,
Hello,
Galaxy Wide.
I am the Theorizer, and guess what?
What?
If I sound like I have something in my mouth during this recording, it's just because I've been quite...
Tell me, Warpugs, what you see there. Tell me what you see there, Warpugs. Tell me I'm wrong. This is a sign. He already knows. Theorizer already knows.
sick for the past, several months, and that would just be, well, a repercussion of that. But guess what in regards to the theory? There's an immediate freaking bombshell of proof that Dronkey drops in Shrek the Third that could be construed as a comedic joke, but the way it ends up logically playing off legit proves my whole theory.
Right,
Shrek's
okay.
all like, how could this happen? In reference to Fiona's pregnancy, and Puss in Boots hilariously begins to explain the reproduction process. Shrek cuts him off and says that's not what he meant. Then the joke. Dronkey asks Puss,
So, thanks, bud. He says, it is bad. My mother's favorite 40k faction is the Demons of Slanesh. Time to put her in a home. It's time to put her in a home. I'm just saying. Thank you, Solar, but it's time to put her in a home if that's the case. She's
well,
starting
how
to lose
does
it.
it happen? This, right here, people. Dronkey very openly confirms that he has no idea how babies are made, yet he has a ton of children.
Yes.
Dragon comes to Far, Far Away at the very end of Shrek 2, and Dronkey is shocked that babies are there. He just assumes that it happened. The only indicator that Dronkey had before was that he said Dragon was being very moody at the beginning of the film, but he had no idea why. And he's shocked. Wait. At the beginning of Shrek 2, Dronkey says Dragon is moody. At the end of the film, it's revealed that this is because she was secretly pregnant, and Dronkey, with his redonkulous anti-knowledge of reproduction, had no clue he'd be a father. But this means that if drinking the magic
Doesn't matter,
potion
Solar.
caused the Dronkeys to be created, then why was Dragon indicating her pregnancy before they even left? Well, this was the main and only criticism of my theory here, and I'm here to tell you it actually supports it. Dragon clearly had some crazy abomination brewing. Dronkey doesn't know much about the reproductive process, but clearly something happened, intentional or not, whether he knew it would create babies or not, that caused her to become fertilized. And here's what my theory's point is. Dragon's birthing process would have been a horror show. This is unnatural, and no DNA would ever reform naturally into a split between a donkey and a dragon. She would have given birth to a litter of dead fetuses, broken, deceased, completely malformed babies that had no resemblance to either of them. This is why she was moody. She was pregnant. The potion didn't put the children into her, it healed them by temporarily making her some sort of super dragon so that she could successfully give birth to creatures that otherwise could never exist without the aid of magic. Anything she wanted would be born. A happily ever after, not a damaged and half-developed mess of organic matter. So then comes the big one. How are they still alive? Dronkey is no longer a horse, and Dragon stopped being whatever crazy, enormous dragon Pegasus thing she became. So shouldn't the Dronkeys become unborn? Shouldn't they straight up die? No, and here's why. They are unique. They are actual balls of life that were created by the spell. They cannot be undone. They aren't just physically altered things resulting from the potion actually birthed them. In fact, some people pointed out something else. Yes, the writers originally had Dragon become a Pegasus, which would suggest that the Dronkeys looked like much more beautiful creatures before the potion wore off. Now they look slightly mutated, but it can't go so far as to unbirth them. It only went part way. Or maybe they'll get progressively dumber before dying in the 5th movie, I don't know. I mean, Charming was birthed by the fairy godmother's magic as well, and also by a king, as I proved in a brilliantly awesome...
The Dronkeys are flesh changed. They are Malals.
Some 4-part series I did, which I love. Also, as the YouTube commenter CJ Harris pointed out, Dragon merely giving birth to the Dronkeys or kissing them or whatever could have passed on the spell. After all, they weren't the ones intended to be affected by the spell, they were byproducts of it. And if the magic transfers, the undoing of the spell won't affect them either, since they are no longer in the womb. They can self-sustain because they are the potion. Additionally, as I said in part 1, the potion's rules directly state that nobody hyperactive should be drinking the potion, and Donkey is, well, immediately after drinking it, displaying that he's hyperactive. Shrek intentionally looks worried about the side effects this could have. Say, like, supercharging its effects on the other lover? I'm not sure, but again, they make a point about highlighting this warning on the potion. Or maybe its effects could have gone weird because Donkey can speak, and maybe he's not a real donkey. Anyways, that's my rebuttal to the debunkers. This theory is having the lid closed on it. For now. And until the next theory, which will likely be even deeper and on a sillier topic, yes, I'm the Theorizer.
Okay. Okay. So, everybody, we have seen the start of this. We have seen the Shrek timeline condensed and brought together. We now know for a fact that the Dronkeys are demons of Malal. We need to let the Theorizer know. We need to find out who's making that 40K movie that Henry Cavill is going into. We need that now. We need it now. We need it yesterday. Because that would make sense. It would make sense in the most perfect way possible, guys. It would make sense in the most perfect way possible. I feel like a genius. I'm putting back on my tinfoil hat. Now, all that being said, okay? All that being said, I still need to know how this relates to Mort. I need to know how this relates to Mort. I need to figure it out. I need it answered. I need to know now. But I'm not going to find out until tomorrow. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and set up the rest of this for tomorrow. We are going to continue. Yes, inform him. Inform him of this. Warbugs. We may have just cracked this whole thing wide open. Malal is Mort. Mort is Malal. That is why he's so powerful. That is why he's an eldritch god. He is part of our future and our past. It has happened. We're going to inform Theorizer. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Okay? Does the hat hurt? Yes, but it is a good pain. We're going to finish up the second part of Mort Part 2. I'm probably going to go ahead and put up the live stream for either tomorrow or, today's Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. Shut up, Hanzo. Why you gotta kick me? Seriously? Seriously. I grew through all the trouble, 17 hours to make this fucking hat, and you gotta call me a potato. I get it. I get it. You don't owe me a beer. Guys, we're gonna watch the rest of this. Yes, Tallest, I normally start streaming at about 9 o'clock. I normally start streaming about 9 o'clock. Galaxy-wide, if he wants me to explain this, I will. But everything that he said, I don't know how much he knows about 40K. I don't know how much he knows about 40K. But if DreamWorks parent company is in any way involved in the Henry Cavill series, then we got this. Okay? We have this. We've got this. We have this. It's there. I'll put up the next stream. So tomorrow, you want to finish this tomorrow night? More Theory Part 2 tomorrow night? Anybody? X in chat if you want that tomorrow night. We'll do it tomorrow night. But for now, I have to go. My planet needs me. We will tell him? Yes. We will tell him. We will inform him. Guys. Oh my god. I'm putting this on. You have no... This thing's actually kind of hot. I'm just saying. This thing's actually kind of... Like, I feel like a boiled potato with this. It is ridiculous. Okay. So. Well. Damn it. There we go. That feels better. That feels better. Yeah. Mort is a future chaos. Mort is Malal, the Chaos God, okay? At first, it's because of the Dronkeys thing. And if this ties in with Mort so directly, then it's the case. Now, Warpugs, I want you guys to have a nice night. I want you guys to enjoy yourselves. We will meet back here. Same bat chime. Same fat channel. We're going to figure out the rest of this. Now, the next part is about Megamind. I'll tell you guys this. I've never watched anything about Megamind. I've never seen Kung Fu Panda. I don't know who the fuck this is. So we are going to watch this, and we're going to learn about... I did see Over the Hedge. I have seen Over the Hedge. So, Mort very well could have bent the barrel over Bradley. I'm just saying. But I'd love to know how. In any case, guys, thank you for coming by. We're going to head out. Tomorrow, 9 Eastern, we will be checking out the rest of this theory. We're going to figure out all about it. But for now, I must go warn Theorizer. Because Mort may know that he's on to him. And if Mort is a chaos god like I now firmly believe, Theorizer may be in danger. I will catch you guys next time. Oh no. Oh no. How do you bend the barrel of a Bradley?